Oh, we gotta talk about this argument. There's a big argument in the gun community right now. 5.56, which is the classic NATO approved round, mil spec that's in all the AR-15s, M16s, M4s, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's been around for Vietnam War, right? 70 years almost, 60 years. Now the big thing is going to 300 Blackout. So can you explain what 300 Blackout is and why there's now this huge raging debate in the gun community? You talked me into buying one, $500. So I'm telling my wife it's $500. But I bought a new platform that looks and feels very similar to this, almost exactly similar to this, but it's chambered in 300 Blackout. Can you explain what that is and why the raging debate in the gun community right now?
So it's funny because if my understanding is correct, last time I checked, 300 Blackout was conceived because SOCOM was looking for something that was compact like this, but still produced an effective, what they were trying to do, right?
Lethal.
Right. And it suppressed well. So what they came up with was a 300 Blackout round, which is typically, subsonic, 200 and up grains. So let's say 200 grains.
So a way, way bigger projectile than this.
Yeah, it's like a really fat, heavy round. And it's a 30 cal, so it's also bigger too. It's the same diameter as like a 308, for example.
Okay.
And it's very similar to this. What happens is you put the round is so heavy and moving so slow. When you put a suppressor on, it's almost movie-like quiet.
Oh.
I mean, I would call it movie quiet, Hollywood quiet, but people don't like that term.
Right.
But it is quiet. It is a caliber that was designed for super secret squirrel stuff inside buildings. Now, 300 Blackout achieves a lot of things that 5.56 is not good at in close quarters. One, 5.56 223 was always designed to be shot out of like an 18-inch barrel. That's why it was conceived. So when you shorten it, you lose muzzle velocity, which then in turn loses bullet stabilization, which in turn loses, the effectiveness of the round, right? So 300 Blackout and over penetration. I always forget this one. So if you hit a drywall, it could potentially keep going. So what 300 Blackout solves is that not only can you have a short package, but when you put a suppressor on it, not only is it quiet, but it's moving so slow that its effective range within 100 yards and in, you don't have to worry about this thing going into a different zip code.
Got it.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, people like to call it the 45 of the rifle.
So 300 Blackout sounds like, because it won't go through 5 walls and shoot your neighbor if you live in suburbia like we do, because it's much more quiet because the round is going slower, so therefore it's subsonic, and it's a heavier round, so I imagine it has more like knockdown power.
Yes. Yeah.
That might even be a better home defense setup than a 5.56.
Correct. Yeah.
So
there's me and my buddy, we always get into this, but 5.56, I like to describe this is the perfect, like when you think of, The Last of Us. I don't know if you've watched it yet.
Yeah.
But this would be the perfect round for that, because not only can you reach out, but like you don't have to worry about, shooting your neighbor.
Right.
300
Blackout. Because all the neighbors have turned into zombies.
Correct, yeah. Okay. So 300 Blackout was designed for a very specific purpose, to engage in close quarters effectively and quietly. And it does it really, really well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you live in prairie land, if you're out in central Montana or Texas, where you might have to engage a target far away because you have a lot of land, maybe 5.56. And then maybe if you live in like urban setting, apartment, suburbia, 300 Blackout might be better, because I can't even get a line of sight anywhere in Vegas or LA, which are the two places I live. I can't even get a line of sight for more than 100 yards because there's another building or there's a car or I'm never going to shoot anything more than 30 yards away from me, most likely. So 300 Blackout, the $500 gun you talked me into, definitely a good purchase.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, for example, my personal home defense gun is a 300 Blackout with a suppressor on it.
And how long is that, comparatively speaking, to this?
With the suppressor?
Yeah.
So the total length is 35 inches.
Okay, so it's a big gun.
It's about like right here.
Okay, not bad then.
Because the suppressor, so the one I got was specifically designed to be super quiet with 300 Blackout. So it's a pretty long suppressor, yeah.
Makes sense.